All right, it looks like we have some people trickling in. Welcome to Power to the Patron, Streamlining the Patron Experience in Aspen Discovery. My name is Cal Marquise. I am an Aspen implementation specialist on the Aspen Discovery team, and I'm joined with a couple of my coworkers today. Jesse, you want to say hey?
Hey everyone, thanks for joining us today. My name is Jessie Zarrow and we'll be helping out Cal watching the chat if you have any questions along the way.
Hi, I'm Bill Kessler of Aspen Sales Consultant, and we're happy to be here today. Thanks.
Thanks, guys. So a little bit about myself. Before I worked with Bywater, I worked in public libraries for about 8 years in public services. So very passionate about the patron experience. So I'm excited to talk to you guys today about this. All right, real quick, before we dive into some demoing of some Aspen sites, we always just talk about the 4 goals of Aspen Discovery. So everything we do here on the Aspen team is goal-based. So when we're working with you in an implementation to go live, when we're planning developments for the next year, we always come back to these 4 goals. So, and you'll see a lot of them are extremely patron focused, so they're perfect for today. So we want to make sure that your patrons are accessing as much of your library resources as possible through Aspen Discovery. So we know that libraries are so much more than books. So this is things like your events and your databases, any special collections that you guys have. And then we want it to tie in perfectly with your current ILS and your e-content providers. So we know that you spend lots of money on all kinds of great databases and e-resources, and there's a lot of confusion still around these databases. So we want to make sure that Aspen is a nice little home for all of them to live so that your patrons can just like easily access them. And then that comes to, we want to make it easy for patrons to use. Of course, navigating different websites can be confusing for most users. So we want it to be really clear, the language around like checking things out or placing holds, what's available, just making the whole user experience really clear for your patrons. And then of course, for staff, we didn't forget about you. We want to make sure that as Aspen adds new features and as you add new things to your collection, that it's easy for you, for your staff to customize and maintain Aspen. So how do we do that? Aspen is an open source product. So the special thing about open source for me is the community. So we have an amazing community of Aspen libraries and users that meet regularly and they provide this feedback. So they're letting us know from testing, from patron surveying, from patron usage, what needs like tweaking, what can be made better. So we're always listening and always receiving that feedback and then just building out Aspen to make it even better for everyone. All right, so I am going to actually demo for you because what's a better way than actually to see an Aspen site in use. So I'm gonna pop over to McKinney Public Library in Texas. I know you're not supposed to have like a favorite, but these are one of my favorite sites right now. I feel like I always go through a different one that I like love and I get stuck on, but I love how they've done this custom header at the top of their catalog. And I actually was just looking on this yesterday and it looks completely different than it does today. So as you can see, tax season is upon us. I know from working in public libraries, that was always a scary time of year for most librarians. So it looks like McKinney has gone ahead and clearly put a message for all of their patrons right at the top. And you can even click here to get information about their AARP service. So I know a lot of libraries offer this free tax prep. So it's nice that they just go ahead and put that right at the top of their catalog. And also they've created a browse category. So in Aspen, we call these little tabs at the top browse categories. So I think about it like in library making a display. So this is just a little virtual display that libraries can add to their Aspen instance. So like I said, yesterday, this one wasn't here. Today it is. So you can do a schedule. So you could set your browse category to start, January 25th, and then you can end it April 15th at the end of tax season. And it'll automatically disappear after that point. So this is great to think about for different trending topics. We've seen some like When Betty White just passed away, there was a nice like browse category that some people did in her honor. You can do this tied in with different events. You can see here that they have a local author browse category. So anything that's really valuable or important to your community, you can feature that on here. So I don't want to go on about taxes, but I just want to see if they did anything else in their catalog to incorporate taxes. So I'm just going to go ahead and do a search for tax. Oh yeah, so they created a placard. So a placard is like a tiny little advertisement at the top of your search results that is customized by library staff. So they have tied in tax, the keyword search, so that when anybody types in that a tax, or they could have tied in AARP, maybe W-2s, thinking about the user, what they would have searched for, the library staff tied in that keyword to a placard. So I've seen these big, small, different logos. They can be connected to URLs. All of these are all customizable by library. Also, I just want to point out, there's a feature called Explore More here. So this will typically show up under the second result in your search. And here you can see that they have information that is linked out with tax records. They have some archives that they've pulled in. They have an integration with their Texas archives. So you can just go ahead and click in to learn more about these different topics. And feel free at any time, if I'm going through anything, to please like stop and ask questions. And I'm sure Jesse and Bill will stop me and we'll get you an answer. Okay, I'm gonna do like a little bit more of a fun search because, you know, taxes. I'm gonna go back to my childhood and I'm gonna search for Diary of a Wimpy Kid. And as you can see, I actually misspelled diary. I put dairy in. It's post-lunch, so I'm gonna be doing some food searches here in a little bit. But Aspen automatically corrected it or knew that my search was diary and not Dairy of a Wimpy Kid. The nice thing I know as a librarian, figuring out all these kids series, Aspen very clearly shows you the series right here. You could go in and click into it and it'll show you all the different titles in this series. Also just wanting to show you that Aspen does a record grouping or a Ferberization. So you can see all the different formats of Diary of a Wimpy Kid that McKinney owns. So we see that they have a book. It's clearly red that this title is checked out. They have an audiobook on CD that's available on shelf. And then they also have all their e-resources integrated. So McKinney has Cloud Library, but if you subscribed to Overdrive or Hoopla, these all would be grouped with this one record. And you can easily check it out. If this was checked out on something like Overdrive, where there's a limited amount of like access points for a user, then if it said place hold, you could just place a hold for this title right there as well. I know on Overdrive, it also sometimes allows you to preview. So you could preview a title right from Aspen, and even an audiobook, you could start listening to a preview clip of it. Okay, a little bit about series. That's why I chose this one. If you click in to the title to get more information, I just want to show you that it says also in this series. So it'll show you again another like visual way of the different titles in the series. And then it'll also show you more like this. I know, like I said, I always kind of struggled with recommendations for like the middle ages, like middle grades and high school. So this has been a big help to say, okay, maybe they would like the Dork Diaries or Big Nate. And you can go ahead and just like click into any of these to get information right away. Also, if you subscribe to something like Novelist, which it looks like McKinney does, you can also see the integration that they have with Novelist. So you can see similar series, similar titles, and similar authors. So that is all pulled in with Novelist because they have the subscription, but this other information that you see at the top, like more like this, and also in the series, that's included in Aspen regardless if you have like a Novelist subscription or not. Further, let's see, I just want to show you two. You can also turn on reviews from Goodreads. So those are at the bottom here. And if I just wanted some information about the author, you could click on the author's name. And right at the top, Aspen can pull in information from Wikipedia. So it usually just pulls in like the first paragraph or two. Again, you could turn this on or off if you didn't want that, or if you wanted to use novelist and director patrons towards that instead, that's fine. But if you're not paying for like a premium service, you can use the integration with Wikipedia. All right, let me just go back to the search because I just want to show you. If for some reason you couldn't find what you want, we also have a number of facets available where you could go ahead and limit your search. Again, these are all customizable by the library. I think we offer something like 30 different facets that you can turn on and off, and you can have them closed or open, whatever you think is best for your user and for your patrons. Let's see. The other things I love about the McKinney website is that they have really utilized their menus well. So again, all of these are customizable. You can build out menus a lot of times that reflect maybe your library website, or we have more libraries now that are actually making their entire website in Aspen Discovery. So what I mean is we have a feature called Web Builder. So McKinney has put in a really nice page with Web Builder here on genealogy. So they created all of this within Aspen. It's included in Aspen. They have put a list together, or a collection spotlight together, as we call it, of some good genealogy resources. And then they've put in some of the subscriptions that they have right here with your URL links that you can follow, and just some more information on their online resources. I just love this page. I think a lot of times that this type of stuff gets lost in your catalog, or maybe patrons don't know about it. And I just really love that they've chosen to highlight it right at the top of their website. Another thing that is really cool that McKinney has done, we'll go back to the Diary of a Wimpy Kid, I guess, but a kids catalog. So they have a separate URL for their kids catalog. I just made this small the other day. Make it a little bit bigger for you all. So think about it like maybe on your kids' OPAC computers, or on your kids' programs that you print out, maybe as an outreach to your community schools. Just let them know about McKinney Kids Cat at aspendiscovery.org, or whatever kids URL you wanted. And you can direct all of your younger patrons right to your kids catalog. So as you can see, their browse categories are a little bit different. They're more like juvenile themed, and even their menu links are different. So they have juvenile events, kids events, and then they have games for kids. So they definitely thought about their different patrons here, and there's really limitless possibilities when you start to think about the ways that you can make this customizable for your different users. Any questions, guys? You guys good? All right. I want to go ahead.
Sorry, Cal. We had one question about series information.
Mm-hmm.
But we passed that on. Wally just asked about the series information and where that's pulling from, and pulling in from the MARC record. And then of course, if you have novelist, it will bring in that information as well for series. And if they click on that series information, for example, in the Diary of a Wimpy Kid, it will show them all of that information that's included in that series.
Yes. Is that the list? Mm-hmm. That would be one of the most frustrating when you think about all the series there are now and how popular it is no one just writes one book anymore. They have to write 14 books. So it's so helpful that you can just see the whole series right in a row. We used to have to go use external sites separate from our own catalog, and it would just drive everyone crazy. So it's so nice that it's all right there embedded in Aspen. So I want to jump away and just show inside of a patron account so that you can actually see what it looks like when it's logged in. Since I don't live in McKinney, Texas, I do not have a library card for them. So I'm going to go ahead and use our test account. And so I've gone ahead and let me just show you where the login is, what it looks like. I'm going to go ahead and sign in. It has already saved my password. Sign in here. And it takes me right to my patron account. So within Aspen, you can clearly see nice big bold letters and numbers that I have 3 items checked out. When you click into these checked out titles, you get an overview of all of the things you have checked out. And then Aspen also divides it out by tabs. So again, like this library location on our test site, we have Overdrive integrated and Cloud Library, and then my physical materials. So right now I don't have anything checked out in e-resources, but I do have 3 physical materials. So it just allows the patron to kind of go in and out of these resources if they're curious, like what do I have checked out on Overdrive versus Cloud Library. If you just want to see everything, you can see everything. And one thing that I love is, say I'm really enjoying It Ends With Us right now. You can click into your patron account and it'll show you might also like. So maybe I've come back into my account because I just finished this title. I know I'm going to return it this weekend and I want to see what else is available that I might like. So Aspen makes recommendations. So it's saying that I might like this book. So I'm going to go ahead and click in here, get more information. And it shows you titles that are available. So it's not going to put me in a position where it's tempting me with this amazing novel, and then I have to be 350 in the wait list. So that's really great. So now I know I'm going to place this on hold, and then maybe when I return my book on Saturday, this one will be ready for me. So it's just really nice to show you your next, great read. Another place that this does this is within your holds. So titles on hold looks very similar to your titles checked out. Right now I have 2 items on hold. From this account, again, I have a lot of control. So I can cancel my hold if I'm not interested anymore. I saw this on streaming. I don't need this DVD. I can cancel it. If I want to freeze it, I'm going on vacation. I don't want to miss this. I can freeze it. If I'm going to pick it up near my work location instead of my home location, I can change my pickup location. And again, you'll see this button while you wait. So similarly to the other recommendation I just showed you, I'm just like itching to see this movie. I really want a thriller. While you wait, will show me some other options that are available on shelf that I can go access today. All right, other things in here, fines and fees, materials requests, any type of like patron account management is all within this tab. And I really love how this is just so clear. I click in and I can really just see checked out 3, holds 2. And again, this is another place that it's putting recommended items for me. So these are based on titles that I have recommended. So what I mean is if I'm going in and I'm reading, I have the option in Aspen to give recommendations. So I loved Gone Girl. I'm going to give it 5 stars. This will save this. And the more things that I rate, the smarter that Aspen is about what your likes and dislikes are. So once I start rating those things, that's when you'll see things like my recommendations show up in your patron account. So as you can see, it's doing a lot of thrillers right now because I've only rated a few different types of thrillers. I also, let's see, with recommendations, let me go back to my browse categories. So browse categories, we talked a little bit about how they show up based on staff created browse categories. So one of the new functionalities at Aspen is that as you start rating your titles, this box here recommended for you as a browse category will pop up. So right when I log in on the main page, like the first browse category, it'll be things that are recommended for me. So this is the similar list as what was showing up in my patron account. So this has been super popular. People are really liking it. It makes Aspen personalized to every individual user. Another thing that is new in the browse categories is that it also saves your saved searches. So this one I did previously, but let me show you what I mean. So I did pizza, want some dessert, I'm gonna do cookies. So I'm going through, maybe I'm gonna start baking, maybe I wanna start a cookie business. I have this search that I wanna come back to on cookies. If you go all the way down to the bottom of your search and click Save Search, and I'm gonna name it cookies and click Save. I get a message that it was saved successfully. And then if I go back to my homepage, the next time I log in, and right now even it's instant, I now have my 2 saved searches. So I can go back to this at any time. If it's no longer relevant to me, I can hide it, I can dismiss it. But this is a great jumping off point. So I think about using this not just for cookies, but for research or, starting your next garden, like children's projects. Like there's just so many things that maybe you're interrupted during your search in Aspen and you want to come back to it later. As soon as you log in, it'll be right front and center. Another way, of course, to retain titles that you want to read is through lists. A lot of people are familiar with lists. They're usually really popular among users. Again, if I wanted to save a list for something like cookies, I could just go in, click add to list under any title that I see. Aspen will automatically start everyone out with a my favorites, but you can also just create a new list. So Cookie Biz, I'm going to start a new business. That's my goal for 2022. And I actually want to share this business plan with someone else. So I'm going to make this public to me so that I can share a link out to my list to my friend who's going to help me start my cookie business. So this just means that I can share this on Facebook. I can email this list. Another reason why you might want to do this is like if you have a book club and you've put 12 titles on your list for the year that you're going to read this year, and then you can just email it out to your book club and you can share it with them. I also just want to show you where your lists live once you start creating them. So right here, you'll see that back in my Patron account, under my lists, I now have my Cookie Biz. And I can go in and I can add to that at any time. The really cool thing about lists here too is that they're interactive. So I can do all of my checking out, all of my hold placing, all of that like navigation right within my lists. So it works just the same as the search results. All right, we only have like a few more minutes and there's like so many things to cover and I know I already covered a lot. So I just wanna like pause and make sure that there's anything maybe like I didn't show that you're interested in that I could demo for you. If like Jesse, Bill have any suggestions, like things they want me to show, I would be happy to do that.
My favorite thing is the hiding of browse categories.
Yeah. Okay, so why you would want to do this. So the great thing about Aspen is that we want to show as much as possible, like we talked about with our goals, to our patrons. But the opposite of that is we want to show relevant information to our patrons. So, back when I was doing the Diary of a Wimpy Kid, if I didn't want to see, if I have no kids, if I'm never going to read a kid's book and I'm sick of all of these kids' browse categories showing up, I don't want to see dinosaur books, you can just go ahead and hide that. So you can tailor your homepage, your OPAC, your library catalog to your preferences. So I don't care about Steam, I'm going to hide it. Gone. I will never see those browse categories again unless I decide to turn them back on. And I can just turn them right back on, go back to the beginning. So that is just another way to customize it to your patrons' desires, their wants. And it's just nice because, again, we want to show them as much as possible, but we also want to give your patrons control over what they see. Thanks, Bill. Anything else?
So I saw the New York Times browse category. How do we bring those in?
Oh yeah, so that's we talked a little bit about lists, and the really great thing about Aspen is that it connects, or can connect if you want it turned on, to the New York Times API. So I know that sometimes, like with certain ILS or certain library catalogs, staff are actually going in and manually updating those lists. So you don't have to do that. So you can just throw that workflow right out the door. It connects right to the New York Times API, and it will only show titles Again, this is a test site, so we don't have like a full, as big as collection as you might see on a like in production site, but it's only going to pull in titles on your New York Times list that you actually own. So again, we're never going to show things or tempt your patrons with things that they don't have access to. And if, let's see, we were using the Midnight Library a lot in examples and I kind of got sick of it, but we're going to go ahead. I'm just going to show you, if you do a search for the Midnight Library. Oh, here you go. You'll see that it appears on these New York Times lists. So if you have a staff member that is creating lists that they're sharing out with their patrons, like best reads of 2022 or something, and Midnight Library is on there, then it will go ahead and say best lists of 2022. And then you can just go ahead and click in if you're interested in reading other things like that as a patron, and you can go ahead and discover some more titles. And you can just add it to your list.
So we had another question come in. So if a title is deleted from the catalog, does it still appear on the list?
No, I don't think so, Jesse. I don't think that's correct. Right? That's correct. Yeah.
It depends. You know, if it's coming from an outside source like Hoopla or Overdrive or Cloud Library, it will still actually show up on the list, but just as a removed title. But a patron can go in there and adjust their list and remove that title if they want.
So we have another question come in. Is there a way to customize the wording within Aspen? So if you want to change the facet name or something.
Yeah, so I'm signed in right now just as a patron. And I'm sorry, I'm not touching on a lot of this because this is supposed to be like more patron forward. But I would love to answer this question. So I'm going to sign in as a staff member with full privileges, just so I can show you. So not only is Aspen available to translate in multiple other languages, like you can see, we have it on our test account, Spanish, but it also has English to English translation. So what that means is, like, if you don't like a certain phrase, like the question asked, you can change it across your entire OPAC to say something else. So I'm just going to show you, again, I'm logged in only as an admin. So if you click on Start Translation Mode, it will show you all the different words that can be translated. So if you don't like titles you rated, you can go ahead and change that to whatever you want it to say instead. I'll just put titles. Recommend, I don't even know. There you go. And then once you exit that, it's updated. So yeah, extremely customizable and easy to use. And we have a lot of libraries where, you know, as libraries and as librarians, sometimes we can be a little jargony. So we have tried to think about what's like the most common phrasing, but we do see a lot of times that can be very regional, very specific to different library systems. So that's why we wanted that tool to be built in so that you can, you know, change that for your patrons.
Excellent, thanks.
You're welcome. All right, we have 1 minute left and I just wanted to jump back in. This is like one of our shorter ones, a 30-minute one, and there's so much to cover in Aspen that I feel like it's just so fast. But I did want to show that we do have these every month on a different Aspen category. So next month, we are going to go through the implementation process of Aspen Discovery. And then in March, Aspen has a companion app called Aspen Lita that's included with Aspen Discovery. And Jordan is going to go over the app and do a demo of that and show some of the functionality that's available there. And of course, we're always here if you have questions. Bill would be happy to speak with you. Look at that smiling face. Bill@bywatersolutions.com. You can also always go to our page, hit contact us. And we'd be happy to, like I said, answer any questions. Again, I know this is like super fast, but Aspen just offers so much that at least we could give you a little bit of overview from the patron's perspective today. All right. Well, thanks for joining us. Have a good day.
Thank you.